Hello and welcome to Trade Talks Unlocking the Experience. I'm Kayla McGowan, your host, and today I'm joined by a dear friend of mine, Kelley Dolan. She's a business advisor at Violand Management Associates, and we're going to learn about her and her session and maybe a fun fact or two about Kelley. So, welcome, Kelley.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. Love
Yes,
talking trades.
love talking trades. I definitely say you are a tradeswoman for sure. And it's always fun to catch up and just kind of chat. But today we're flipping the script and talking about you and your session and, just about kind of the industry in a different light, if you will. So, I know this about you, but many may not know. How did you get into the industry and what's one of your favorite parts about this industry?
It really was by chance. I'll say 20 odd years ago, I moved to New York City. My husband was in the arts world, so that's where we needed to be. And I was like, I gotta find a job. So I had been, and this will date me a little bit, but I was working with a temp agency to help me find a job. And they sent me to this interview to this restoration and cleaning company. I'm like, what is this? Um, but I instantly found my people. My interview was actually on my birthday, and they were talking about like how they celebrate birthdays and how great their culture is. And I was like, this is my home. This is where I'm supposed to be. Um, and then I didn't hear from them, and I was like brokenhearted. And I was like, okay, I'll keep doing this temp work. And then a month later, they were like, okay, we're ready. And I started as a sales assistant kind of role there and doing administrative work. I was pretty young at the time. It was like maybe my second like real job. Um, and just kind of worked my way into a bunch of different positions there and eventually sort of ended up in the HR leadership role in our regional company. Um, and just I fell in love with the people. I fell in love with the fact that every day, no matter what you did at a restoration company, no matter your role, you were helping people, right? Like no matter what you were actually responsible for, the fact that you worked there, maybe you supported your team, maybe you were processing payments, maybe you were running payroll. It doesn't matter if you were interacting with the customers. By being a part of that team, you were making the world a better place, and that meant a lot to me. And I fell in with an amazing group of people. And then as I continued to meet people in restoration, God, it just got like better and better and better and better. Um, and I think you asked me like, what do I love about the industry? I think that is a huge part of it, right? Like that everyone gets into this industry because they like helping people. Well, I'll say not everyone gets in for that reason, but everyone lasts for that reason. Like the
Yeah.
people who last, that's what drives them. So it's amazing to be with that kind of people. Restorers are hard workers. All tradespeople are very hard workers. I think it's not something that necessarily is what you think about when you think about trades, right? Like you think about like the satisfaction of a complete job a lot of the time. But I think a lot of people in the trades get satisfaction from like hardworking, like using their brains, using their minds, using their bodies to accomplish things and being really proud of what that looks like at the end of the day. So it's an industry with a lot of pride and it's an industry with a lot of like good nature. And then again, like just the people I've met over the years, it's an impressive group of people who just never say die. Like they're just in it to win it. I feel like I'm just throwing catchphrases at you now, but like it's why I love the group so much and why I stayed in it.
No, I would definitely agree. I too fell into the industry, and I think the people are really what keep each other going. I know people say it's super competitive, but I really feel like it's more uplifting and really showing us what we're capable of. People are challenging each other to just be better, I feel. And that's the kind of people you want to be around every single day. I think obviously, I personally tried to leave the industry and I came right back. It's like one of those things like it's the people and helping the community that you're in is a big thing too, right? Like you're not, I mean, we're helping people all over the world essentially, but for the most part, the restorers themselves are helping people within their community, which I think is even more impactful. I would even put it up there with like doctors and nurses, right? Because like we're doing something in a different light, but we're still helping our immediate community in times of need and what they would consider a crisis, right? So I would definitely say like the catchphrases are 100% welcome because I feel like that's how you can explain like the love in the industry that we are in. And you said it really well, like the trades world, like we're using our bodies, our minds, like we're using literally our whole being every single day, which I think is very special because not everybody can do that. Like you have to be a person that just loves to help people to your point. So it's really cool to be surrounded by people like that every day. And I mean, for you, you get to see them in a different light, right? You get to advise now.
Yeah.
Like you're not always in the trenches, but you're helping them. And I think that that's really cool too, because your love is still there and it still helps other businesses grow, right?
Yeah, it has exceeded my expectations getting even further out of my bubble, right? Like you get out of your own company bubble a little bit by, going to trade shows and doing the learning and being part of industry groups. But then even now, like I'm interacting with more and more restorers every day. And like that, what I said of like truly wanting to help, it goes up and down that line. Like it's not just your frontline workers who want to help. I have yet to meet a restoration owner who isn't willing to help out even their competitor down the road. Like, yeah, have them call me, have them talk to me. Like we can help each other. We can be there for each other. Like that sort of spirit of like we are in this together, I think is very, very present, and I think is only actually getting stronger. Like I think people are seeing the value of having that tight local network as well as that wide national one, and learning from each other, and making all of our industries that much better. So I getting to see that now, like half my days now are like, hey, you should talk to you, and you should talk to you, and I'm going to connect you, and like, do you guys want to talk about this? And like to see that family grow and that family get bigger. And then when we get together because we have our own events too, like, and our clients come and they know each other, it's like literally, like I said, I get to watch magic happen all the time, and it's kind of amazing. Especially like I was an operator for so long, I was in the space making the things happen, helping the people do the things, and I was like, I don't know how it's going to be for me feeling less effective and feeling pulled out of that. Like I'm going to struggle with that. And it was one of the things we talked about when I started at Violand was like, they're like, you're going to have to get used to not executing. Um, and I was really, really worried about it. But you know what? Like, it's a different kind of work and a different kind of challenge. And again, getting to just watch everyone sort of grow and have successes and have challenges and work through things is, oof, it's a lot some days to watch it happen and to watch other people making those great moves out there.
Yeah, and I would definitely say I feel like most of the fulfillingness that you probably feel are those connections now, right? It's a different type of fulfillment opposed to being the executor, if you will. And I will say, I had the pleasure of attending your guys' events, and it's like a big family. It's like a family reunion, and people are interacting with each other. No one's a stranger there, even if you're brand new. I think it's a really great environment for what we do on a regular basis because now you're meeting people in your network potentially that you didn't even know were in your network, which I think is really cool. And then outside of your network, of course, right? That's important. But I will say, to your point, the immediate network is growing stronger and stronger because I think people are realizing,
Mm.
like, hey, you're going to need to have referrals and I'm going to need referrals. So at that time, I want to be able to tell the customer, hey, I know somebody who can take care of you, even though I can't, right? Like, it's a bigger deal now than I think it was, 5, 10 years ago, to your point. And so it's really cool to just see how much it's evolving and how strong it's really getting.
Yeah.
Because these people are like going to dinner with each other and like hanging out, whereas like, and years ago it was like, oh no, that's my competitor. It's changed so much with it, which I think is so, so cool. So you are talking about like a pretty cool topic, at least in my eyes, at the experience. Can you kind of share what it is and why it's so important to the industry and what we do?
Yeah, I think over the last few years, there's been a lot of talk about recruiting, right? Like we had a need for talent. We were losing people. People were changing a lot. People were motivated to move. Um, we lost a lot of workers during the COVID pandemic. So there was a recruiting, like we were thirsty, right? Like we needed people. And in that process, I think the piece that probably gets overlooked the most is, okay, we've hired somebody. Awesome. Now we got to onboard them. And the way you do that, I think is still very much a part of the recruiting process. Like just because you hired someone, you haven't like locked them in for life. Like the biggest kind of loss of new hires happens in that first 90 days. And it may be because we are not doing everything we can to keep pitching them about how great it is to work with us. So I am going to talk in the recruiting world, I'm going to talk specifically about onboarding. So like a whole conversation about what do we do in that first 90 days to get someone settled into their job and into our culture and into our community in a way that's successful, right? I'm not even going to address like where do you find these people? I'm assuming you found them and you've got them on board, and now what do you want to do? Um, so I'm really excited about it. It's funny, I mean, obviously I did it for a long time, so I care a lot about it, but I ran through my presentation the other day, and it's about halfway through the presentation, I get to day one. So like half of my presentation, they haven't even started yet. Like that's how much I believe an onboarding process matters and brings value and can
Mhm.
be effective for you in keeping the people and I'm not discounting that recruiting is hard, and I'm not saying recruiting has gotten easier. I still think it is a challenge. But once you have done that hard work, please don't lose that person. Like
Yeah.
you did a lot to get them there, which is a whole nother session, actually like 6 sessions probably. But once you get them, like do what you can to not lose them. And it doesn't mean that's all on one person's shoulders.
Mhm.
It's how do we work as our tiny little community at our company outside our greater community to get this person literally on board and feel like they're a contributing member and are on board with what we want to do. I said on board way too many times, but just on board.
Yeah. No, I would definitely say like that needs to be stressed very often in this industry. Like, I know people talk about the recruiting struggles, but okay, to your point, you get that person on. How do you keep them on? What are the incentives? Is the culture great? You know, your team has to also echo what you're saying on the during the onboarding process, which I think is extremely important because we know how things happen. You know, it's cupcakes and rainbows, and then the person gets 30 days in, and then, you know, maybe an employee says something or whatever the case may be. Like, you have to really do it right. And I also think career path is another big thing, right? Like, even if you're just hiring for a position, like some people now, most people actually are asking, where do I go from here? Is this a long-term thing? People want to know in a sense, I feel like people want to know so they know how much to give to a company, right? Do I give
Yeah.
you 100% or do I give you 50%? Because is this long term or not long term too? I think that's another thing. And onboarding, I think, really allows a person to settle in comfortably instead of just kind of being thrown into it. I mean, how many times have we heard somebody's just like thrown into the fire and then they're like, this is not for me. Even if they really
Yeah.
loved what they were doing, they're like, this is not for me, right? So those are some key hurdles that you have to face during onboarding.
Yeah, and like it's also an expectation setting time frame, right? Like people now want to know like what's expected from me. So you got to outline that like, hey, in the first 90 days, this is where we want you to be. You have parts of that as the new hire, and we have responsibility for that. I used to hold us and our team very accountable for like, okay, you needed this new team member. We have found them. We have got them here. Now we got to keep them. And that is not a one person job. That's an everyone job.
Hmm.
And being really specific with what is your role within that is really, really helpful. So like really drilling down to like, okay, we've got a variety of subject matter. We got to teach this person. How do we spread this out so that we can all do our jobs and be effective, but that they also get to learn and they get to make progress. So a lot of it is setting up that first 90 days in a really like focused way to let them see progress and let them see long term. You said something about like the career paths, and I just want to touch on it like I, I want to focus on onboarding, but in the recruiting piece, right? Like if you're the person doing interviews, you need to have your standard lines about those things. You may feel like you've answered that question 1,000 times. It doesn't matter. That person has never heard your answer. So if they say, what are the career paths here? How do I move through my company? Hey, you may not be a huge company, but you got to be able to answer that question in a way that doesn't feel like they're signing into a dead end job. So
Hmm.
hey, we don't have a lot of roles, we don't have a lot of job titles, but there is so much to learn and ways to move throughout this company. And then you want to give your examples of what people have accomplished and what people have done, right? So you want to be able to back it up with so and so has done this. I have had another person that's done this. And then when they get onboarded, they actually get to meet those people they heard about. And it
Hmm.
makes that much more sense. They feel that much more connected. That stuff all has incredible power.
Yeah, it really does. And I would definitely say this is, again, a piece, right? Onboarding is a piece of the pie, just like recruiting is. I think there's stuff that goes far beyond the 30, 60, 90 days, but I
Of
think
course.
really understanding how important those milestones are in the onboarding process are honestly priceless because if you're somebody who's like, I can find people, but I can't keep them, it's probably more than likely part of that onboarding process. Are there milestones or checkpoints for not only the employee, but you as, like you said, the company, you have responsibilities too. And so I think sometimes those get lost. We expect the people we recruited to do all of the things in 30, 60, 90, right? Well, there's
Yeah.
responsibility on both sides of the table, which I think are extremely important to your point. So one thing that I really will say that you probably know better than I do is that, takeaways and implementation are really big in our industry, right? Like people are like, what am I getting? How can I put this into my business? So for your session, what are a few things that attendees can count on that they're able to take away and implement?
I I think that when they walk out of that session, they'll have an idea of like, what are the tools I need to put in place for myself in order to get this process in existence, right? And it doesn't mean you need to like stop what you're doing, I mean, you might need to redo the whole thing. It's pieces and it's building it along the way. So I'm going to lay out like, here are all the steps like I eventually got to, but it was a process. I had to learn how to do it and I had to figure out what worked for us and what didn't work for us. So it's about the little changes and the little things you're going to do. Like every new hire is an opportunity for you to improve your system and your process. And listen, I started doing it to preserve my own sanity because I was like, there were so many things I have to remember when I onboard somebody. Like I started with like checklist for Kelley of things she needed to do. And then that really did turn in and develop into the process. And oh my God, pieces of it as my team grew, I could say like, hey, now you own this part of the process. And it was more of it wasn't just me like running around like a chicken without a head trying to get people on board. It was now like a team was like, okay, we got this, we're doing this, so and so's doing that. Like it became sort of how we onboarded somebody to the point where my team would be like, do you have their schedule done yet? And I'd be like, oh, okay. No, but thank you. Um, and so like it's really like what are the pieces and the tools you need in place and where do you would continue to look for opportunities to develop them? Because I'm going to lay out a bunch of things that you can do. They all take some time to put them in order and in place for yourself. But gosh, starting with a checklist of like, what do we do when we bring somebody on board? Um, is kind of where it all started for me.
Yeah, and I would definitely say too, I mean, it's no different than what we do in our day-to-day jobs, right? Especially for those who are in the field. Like you need those checkpoints, you need those checklists, you need those processes. So it's really already what we do in our day-to-day, but I think it's really important to really, to your point, have people on your team own certain parts. We can't do everything by ourselves. I
Yeah.
also think too, it allows the team to really embrace the new person and the new person to embrace the team because there is that interaction. I mean, we've all been onboarded, right? And I will definitely say one of the things that I've really appreciated in my career is when I've had the opportunity to like shadow somebody or just kind of see what they do, learn what their function is in the job, because you creates conversation off the start, right? And I'm sure during onboarding, I hope most people are having their teams come in and talk to the new employee, because I think that's really important too, right? I think that's a step that is maybe oftentimes missed. And to your point, it's taken you years, right? It's not like it's going to happen overnight. So for the people in there may be tools that you don't leverage or checklists that you don't leverage or ways of handling things that you already have in place. I think that's another thing. You can have all of the best checklists or processes, but if you're not really handling them right, what good does it do for you and the person that you've just hired, right? It could be in the wrong
Yeah.
order, right? The order, I'm sure, has a lot to do with it.
Yeah. I order of and like timing of things and like like anything else, it'll become a part of who you are and how you operate, right? Where you're like, I don't need my checklist. I've already done these 8 things. Well, guess what? You need that checklist because what if like you're not here and we need to know where we are in those things. It is like any other role, any other responsibility. It seems really focused and really specialized. So like maybe we don't need to put it down on paper, but man, yeah, you do. Um, yeah, you do. For your own, like I said, for your own sanity, but also handing off responsibility to other people gives them an opportunity to grow, to become leaders in what they do, to be seen as experts in what they do, no matter what that is at your company,
Hmm.
right? They get to now teach someone something. What a like great way to show them how much you appreciate their contribution. And they get to like set the stage for their coworker to be successful. Like, I don't know if people even realize the value of that. And in talking about that with your team and thanking them and appreciating them, like I talk a lot about how in onboarding, there's a lot of moments of like team celebration you need to acknowledge. And it's not just all about the new person at that point. We also need to thank our team, like, hey, yeah, we're going to do an introductory lunch or breakfast, and we're going to feed everyone because we really appreciate that you all are going to take time out of your schedules to help get this person into our space. Um, so it is about the team cohesiveness and giving them that time together too, as much as it is about that new person for me. Um, and then I sort of do in my presentation, I talk about, right, I'm 2 years in with Violand. So I had been onboarded there a few years ago, which was new for me. I hadn't been onboarded anywhere for 20 years. So I was like, I compare a little bit about what I grew and developed over the years with how it felt to once again be someone who got to go through onboarding, um, and remember what a scary process that is. Right. Like I think I preached it for years, like, hey, we need to make this people feel comfortable. They're gonna be drinking water from the fire hose. Like it's gonna be a lot. We gotta make sure they feel comfortable and like honing that message and then like having to experience it again and be like, oh yeah, this is a new job is hard. Um, uh, I I remember now why I made such a big deal about this. This is hard.
Yeah.
So having those moments of appreciation in the last few years of saying like, oh yeah, I don't have all the answers anymore. Like I'm not the person you go to ask the things for, and what that feels like on that end, and reminding everyone what it's like to be like, you, a new job is scary.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's like so many different levels of the scary, right? Because you feel like you have to prove yourself, then you're trying to remember everything that they're doing. And, it's like all literally all the things. So I definitely will say we've sat in those seats, and to your point, after so long going and doing that again, you're like, holy smoke. So we have to remember there's been a lot of turnover in this industry. So
Yeah.
chances are when you are getting somebody in that seat, this could be their third job or fourth job since 2020, right? Like we
Yeah.
have to really take those things into consideration because I will say we did lose a lot of people. Some people left the industry, some people have not really found their new home. And so there's a lot of variables that we're dealing with, and that all comes out during the onboarding process, right? Like the
Yeah.
anxieties and the worries and all that. You see
Everyone's
it.
baggage.
Yeah, and literally everybody's baggage comes out during that time. And so you have to be prepared for that as well. And so does your team. So I'm really
Yeah.
excited to see your session and hear all of the things that you have to share. I think it's just one of those things that's extremely important to our industry right now. I mean, I talked to Ben Justison a couple of weeks ago, and he did mention like, it could cost a company like tens of thousands of dollars, like it's
Three
not
times that person's like salary is kind
salary,
of the number.
right?
Yeah.
Like that
Um,
isn't that scary? Like,
it's the time, the energy, your staff's time, right? So yeah, it is like if you find someone and you get them to show up, like we don't just want people who just show up, but like if you get them that far, God keep them. Like figure out
yeah.
how to keep them. And I think especially you mentioned a lot of movement, right? Like a lot of turnover. If you can instill confidence in someone who has had experiences at multiple companies in the last few years, and that first week that you have your act together, gosh, are they going to give you grace when you do trip on something or something is wacky, right? They're going to be like, you know what, these people, like, it's just a moment, right? So there's a ton of value in building their confidence in who they have joined as
Mhm.
part of onboarding that I think is so, so important.
Yeah, I agree. I couldn't agree more. And I think, people are really going to enjoy your session, especially because it's a little bit of a change of pace from what we've seen all year, which I think is really, really cool. So I'm super excited about that. So we've talked about how you got here, why you love this industry, a little bit about your session and like the key takeaways. What is one fun fact that many may not know about you?
Okay, I do have a strange hobby. And this is it's gonna sound crazy. So have you ever seen like any circus performances where people have those big long silks and they like flip around in the air and they do all these cool spins and they do drops and it's very dramatic?
Yes, yes.
Well, I'm learning how to do that. I've been learning for a few years. And when I say learning, it's because nobody should ever watch me do this. But man, is it a really good workout, and it is super fun. And I feel like stronger than I have in years from doing it. I'm not I'm not a spring chicken. I'll say I'm not old, but I am in my middle ages. So to have started this new hobby a few years ago and be able to like actually climb up these silks again, like climbing a rope in gym class from like second grade was probably the last time I did something like this. So to be able to
Yeah.
like figure out how to do that again has been really fun. But it's a great workout. It's a lot of fun. It's always an amazing group of people because it's people that are just like, what is this? What are we doing? And like a few people who really got their stuff down, but they're not it reminds me a little bit of the restoration industry because they're like, oh, do this and now move your arm here. And they're like super supportive about it because they just know it's a fun learning space. So it doesn't feel, as far as it's a workout, going to the gym can feel a little competitive sometimes. I
Yeah.
also do a lot of running, which can feel competitive. This is like, how do we all do this? Like, what are we all doing here together? And like, just a super fun activity that you do a couple times a week. That has been like a real kind of game changer for me in the last couple of years.
I think that's honestly so cool. I would definitely say it probably pushes you to limits, and I'm sure that it's fulfilling and gratifying when you do, complete something that maybe in the beginning was really, you're like, I could never do that, and now you've
Yeah.
accomplished it. I will definitely say it's one of those things that it can help you decompress too after like a long day or a long week because like nothing else matters but what you're focusing on and the people that you're with, which I think is so cool. And you're right, the gym can be super intimidating and sometimes it's nice to get away from that, right? Like same thing with running to your point. Sometimes it's just nice to get away from that and be in an environment that people are like, "Hey, to your point, how do you do this? Oh, it's like this." Like now you're all helping each other to accomplish the same goal, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been a fun exploration and a weird thing to fall into, but um yeah, it's been a reminder that I can do group activities, right? Like, because I
Yeah.
think I was running for so many years, which is an independent sport for the most part.
Mhm.
It's nice to again have a physical activity where I'm like with other humans and connecting with them.
Yeah, and I was gonna say you can like actually probably converse, usually when you're
Yeah.
running, it's like headphones. When you're at the gym, it's like conversing is not always the best thing to do at a gym, and I would definitely say like being in that team atmosphere is always fun too because you do learn from other people, right? And maybe you have similarities as to why you got into what you're doing now, or you never know who you can run into at some of these classes. It could be like a lifelong friend that you end up making and stuff like that. So I think is really, really cool. And honestly, we are people outside of what we do every single day, right? I think people see
Yeah.
us for our positions generally, so it's nice to kind of learn something about people we don't really know much about their personal life. I mean, I know you're a reader, I know you're a runner, but this one I didn't know, which is really cool. And I have some expectations for you, being that I live here in Vegas, okay, Kelley? Uh,
No one will buy tickets to that show.
I think
It
it would
is
be
a
really
very
fun.
sad, it's a very sad experience.
Well, this has been so much fun. As always, it's laughs. I learn something from you every single time, and I really can't wait to see you take the stage at the experience. So, thank you for sharing a little bit of your day with me. And for all of you watching, we will see you on the next episode of Trade Talks Unlocking the Experience. Take care.